Let's talk about the most reliable Lexus vehicles you can buy, at least from the last decade or so. Lately, we've heard of some engine issues, the V6. Not all Lexus vehicles are the same, and I want to help you avoid some of the worst by sharing some of the best Lexus vehicles you could possibly buy. If you're looking for new or used, let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
NHTSA ranks them very highly. RepairPal, 0.5 failures per year. In other words, 1 every 2 years. And only $551 for an annual repair cost means it's one of the most cost-effective, one of the most affordable, and certainly one of the most reliable vehicles on the market. Now, Consumers Reports has slid them down this year because of some of those engine issues, but historically, Toyota and Lexus products have always owned number 1 and 2 slots for reliability. JD Power also loves the brand. So let's take this from the top and give you the first car. Right here is a UX 300h. Now, this is a newer version of more or less replacing the outgoing 2017 CT200h. That's right, it was a small, compact hybrid vehicle by Lexus that's known as one of the most reliable vehicles you could possibly imagine. Now, it's more or less doubles down, of course, on the platform of the Toyota Prius, and people love it. According to NHTSA, there's only been about 3 customer complaints, 1 recall, and 1 investigation. Now, with those sorts of miles, you would anticipate 1 possible battery change, might even be on the next one, but they're ultra reliable. And with that said, spread out over the course of its lifetime, you could expect to spend only an average of $386 for repair costs. It's an ultra reliable vehicle. People love them. You don't see many around anymore. They didn't have the power and the performance. They were all based on economy, but people love them, and they're super reliable. So if you're looking for an old school Lexus, you happen to find one around, the only thing you might have to be worried about is possibly replacing the battery. The next Lexus you can identify as being one of the most reliable, try a 2015 Lexus LS 460. That's right, we've seen models as much as 290,000 miles on them, as well as 81 out of 100 rated by JD Powers, and very few failures. We're also seeing an annual average repair cost of about $767, which is more than decent when you compare it to BMWs, Mercedes, and Audis, which is directly in its line of sight. And according to NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, 0 investigations, only 1 recall, and 4 complaints, some of which are more or less nickel and dime, and more of a little bit of a noise here or noise there. Relatively very reliable vehicles, and they rank highly by almost all automotive reviewers. And right here we have the brand new Lexus LX series vehicle. Full-size SUV, of course, by Lexus. They have all the great new script, but this is the LX 600. No 2 Lexus vehicles are the same, and this is one of those examples that I'd like to share is not as reliable as the outgoing model. This is the current generation, features the 3.4 liter twin turbo V6, and there's already been recalls and issues with engine replacements because of main bearing failures with some of these vehicles. Now, that also engine is shared with the Toyota Tundra, and there's lots of controversy over that particular drivetrain right now. Lexus, Toyota are trying to get their act together, trying to figure this out. Although it is a great design, great restyle, you have lots of great modern day looking amenities, LEDs, big beautiful laser cut rims. Look at these LC500 style mirrors, and of course two-tone here, big roof rack, and all kinds of great glass on the roof. Definitely a gorgeous vehicle, but unfortunately this isn't the one that ranks very highly. Instead, the one that makes the grade is a 2021 Lexus LX 570. That's right, 383 horsepower, naturally aspirated V8 under the hood. The highest mileage we've seen on one for a 2021 is about 134,000 miles, but that's only because you can only drive so much in a given day. The average blended repair cost based on RepairPal is about $832 per year. And as well, when we talk about some of the issues related to NHTSA, very few issues with the older outgoing generation Lexus LX, 0 investigations, 0 recalls, and 0 customer complaints. Consumers Reports loves the old outgoing Lexus LX models. So does JD Powers at a rating of 82 out of 100, and so does just about every other reviewer. It's one of those with the outgoing naturally aspirated V8, and unfortunately we'll likely never see a durable, rugged workhorse engine like that again. When you talk about reliable Lexus vehicles, what comes to mind are often vehicles like this, the RX series of vehicles. Of course, this is the latest and greatest generation of the Lexus RX. You'll notice it has this big front hump. This is the biggest, most distinguishing feature. This came out in 2023, but this unfortunately carries that new 2.4 liter turbo 4. Although it's not all that problematic necessarily, it certainly is succumbing to the cafe standards, and this is not as reliable as the slightly outgoing model. This is 2022. Well, this one actually carries one of their most reliable engines, the 3.5 liter V6 under the hood. You can tell the main thing because this grille folds back, whereas the other one actually has that hump on the front. This is the most distinguishing feature, and the 2022 model year is the one that you want to get. It ranks extremely high by Repair Pal. Consumers Reports love them. NHTSA loves these vehicles, and on top of all of this, $550 is your average annual repair cost to get these things in the shop. They're ultra reliable. With the automatic transmission, that's torque converter, and that 3.5 liter V6, there's very little to go wrong with, around 300 horsepower. The only thing that they had was a recall back many years ago for the VVTi lines, which had a known bursting problem. Of course, that was all rectified under some Toyota and Lexus bulletins. Other than some weak infotainment systems and some ho-hum ergonomics in terms of the central controls, the vehicle is nothing short of spectacular in terms of reliability. Yes, you do get some great features like the LC500, and we'll talk about the LC500. Of course, you do get these great handles, laser cut rims, and you'll notice they do give you the LEDs. If you're looking for the RX generation and you want one of their most reliable SUVs that they've ever produced, 2022 in the RX is the model you want to look for. You'll find many of these with relatively decent miles on them. Although the average is 50,000 miles for 2022, you'll find lots with extremely high mileage. You go back a decade or so with carrying the similar generation of V6, and a lot of them we're seeing with 250, 300,000 miles all over the place. They're built to last a long time, and definitely one of the most reliable Lexus vehicles you could possibly imagine. Another very amazing and very reliable luxury car is this Lexus LC500. As you'll notice right here, you can get an LC500 or a 500H. The 500H gives you a V6, 3.5 liters, of course with a hybrid option, and naturally it gives you about 354 horsepower. Generally, you get the 5 liter V8 in the standard LC500. You get a 472 horsepower V8 engine under the hood, coupled up to a torque converter automatic transmission, driving output to the rear wheels. It's a beautiful grand touring sports car, great performance, 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, has some of the most gorgeous interior fit and finish. Naturally, reliability's top shelf. We've seen vehicles in 2021 model years as high as 89, 90,000 miles on them, just simply because they're built to last a long time. Older V8 engines of the 5 liter are also very, very reliable. You'll find a very similar engine in the IS 500, and everybody loves these vehicles because the way they look, sound, as well as your overall reliability. You can have your cake and eat it too. JD Power rates these at about 84 out of 100. NHTSA says only one customer complaint, one. Likely it had to do with something to do with lighting or some ergonomic challenge. 0 recalls, 0 investigations. What's not to love about a car like this? No guilt vehicle that looks this great, drives this wonderfully, and is as reliable as a Toyota Prius. On top of it, with a $551 annual service repair cost, it makes this vehicle very affordable too. It's hard to believe you can get this much greatness in this little bit of cash. Naturally, here you have a beautiful set of taillights. Of course, the Lexus LC500, as I already mentioned, you get some beautiful chrome detailing on the back there, beautiful oversized wheels, lots of vents and detail, flip out handles, LC500 mirrors, which I always refer to. It's a gorgeous look. And the front end absolutely had these gorgeous headlights. Standard grille for Lexus. Love or hate, not everybody loves it, but it's a good looking car all the way around either way. So if you've been thinking about buying a sport touring or even a GT car of some sort, many people look at these. They possibly look at the Jag F-Type or as well as a Mercedes GT series vehicles. I would say this ranks the best in terms of overall rounded, well-rounded vehicle of the bunch. The F-Type is probably a little bit more fun, a little bit more aggressive. You give up some of the reliability. The Mercedes stalled out somewhere in the middle. So this is a great choice if you want this type of vehicle, you want to exploit your midlife crisis. or just want to have a fun sports car, this is the car for you. And here's another one that is one of the most reliable. Of course, we're talking about the Lexus GX 550 right there, but this is just following in the footsteps of the previous most generous and most reliable Lexus vehicles. The GX 460, the GX 470 had some of these naturally aspirated V8 engines that were likely far more reliable than anything else on the market. Well, the way it stands right now, this one carries the latest and greatest 3.4 liter twin turbo V6. Interestingly enough, it seems by specification to be the same engine that the LX 600 carries, as well as the Toyota Tundra, but there's been zero complaints, zero issues based on NHTSA numbers, and as well zero recalls. These so far have been ultra reliable, and if you were a betting person, I would probably likely be more inclined to buy the outgoing generation, because those ones have the V8 engines. Guaranteed you're going to have more reliable operation there. But so far these are also very, very reliable. 0 miles or very low miles on a 2024 when they came out. You're likely not going to find too many huge miles on these yet. The outgoing GX 460 and 470s, you're going to find lots of those. I see them all over the place with hundreds of thousands of miles all over them. 84 of 100 here based on JD Powers and Associates reliability. As well, Consumer Reports always likes the Lexus products, although some of the LX models have gone down and have dragged the brand down slightly, so now you're getting different brands, and Lexus has lost some of their slots in the overall reliability ranking. But at about $551 average repair cost for your average generic Lexus GX, it's a very affordable vehicle. You also get 4-wheel drive. This is on a truck platform, so it's very rugged, reliable, and you can get an optional third row, which is slightly hilarious. It doesn't give you a ton of room, but there is room there nonetheless. So if you need space, you're gonna have to opt up for the Lexus GX, because the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Restyle, does not have that third row. But ultimately, if you want the most in reliability and the most in predicted reliability, because we've seen the record, we've seen the naturally aspirated V8 engines, and we've seen how long they can last, I would always opt out for the 460 or the 470 on the slightly older generations. Look for a 2019, look for a 2020. You're going to have a vehicle that's probably going to last you 300,000 miles if you take care of it. And the next model that I think is one of the most reliable vehicles, and you would not be disappointed, it's this vehicle here. You can get it in a Turbo 4. Back in 2016, I would recommend the V6 engine though in the RC 350, as we're looking at right here. It's an absolute gorgeous little sporty vehicle. It's based on more of a sports car platform, certainly rear-wheel drive. You have a torque converter automatic transmission, and it's that V6 that's a true gem. 300 ponies, ultra reliability that is almost unstoppable, and a vehicle that is this good looking. It's hard not to love the beautiful little vehicle like this. The RC, you have a beautiful set of taillights, the F Sport in this particular package. The beauty is as well, you can get all-wheel drive in the RC 350, and all kinds of other great details like this. Beautiful gunmetal wheels, and of course, look at that rocker panel, how it flares out, absolutely beautiful. LC 500 mirrors and F Sport badging to boot. Look at the great headlights around here. And of course, naturally, the grille that some people love, some people not so much. But we're talking about most reliable, and here's your sporty little car that you can have your cake and eat it too as well. The V6, 300 ponies, torque converter auto, that had a few issues with, of course, a variable valve timing, the pressure lines. Of course, you've got to get there as a recall for some of those in that 3.5 liter V6. Other than that, these vehicles are great, and those engines are even better, because in Toyota and Lexus land, they use what they have, a dual fuel injection system. Yes, direct injection like a lot of vehicles do, but we've talked about that, how direct injection can carbon up and create other problems in the engine. Low speed pre-ignition conditions, for example, but Toyota gets around that, and Lexus does too with these V6 engines, and they use also a dual with a port fuel injection system too, so it basically washes the valves, reduces almost all those issues created by the direct injection system. It's an absolute glorious engine, and one certainly that you have to take a closer look at. These get a rating of 86 out of 100 from JD Powers, and according to NHTSA, 1 complaint, 0 recalls, and 1 investigation. But they're very durable engines, very reliable, and with a $551 annual repair cost, it's definitely going to fit your budget. I've also seen some of these vehicles with as much as 170,000 and more miles on it. They're built for longevity, for long life, and they're certainly a lot of fun. So you can definitely have a vehicle that's built to run 200,000 miles and beyond, that looks this great, has this level of reliability and low running costs. It means why do you have to feel guilty and go buy one of those inexplicably unreliable European cars when this has got you covered? The Lexus RC 350 and maybe the 300 if your budget won't allow for the 350. These are great cars. You definitely got to give them a look. And the next one is right here. That's right, one of the most reliable models ever known to Lexus. And of course, in specific, we'll talk about 2017, but generally most ES models are very, very reliable. I've seen models of 2017s as much as 177,000 miles on the clock. You can get a V6 naturally aspirated 3.5 liter engine, or you can also get in later generations an ES300h like this. You can get, of course, with the naturally aspirated 2.5 liter 4-cylinder coupled up to a hybrid system. Now, with that, you also get dual port and directed fuel injection system in either engine. These vehicles also come with the torque converter auto, but the difference with the ES is it's driven to the front wheels. That's right, it's not a rear wheel drive. All-wheel drive is available as an option, but this one predominantly is front-wheel drive. You have a transversely mounted engine, and you have a load of room in there, either back and the front, for a lot of customers and a lot of happy drivers. Of course, here you have all kinds of greatness, the big bold grille by Lexus, and naturally the later versions have LEDs and all kinds of styling updates. We're dealing with an F Sport here. You've got all kinds of other nice trim detailing, LC500 mirrors, beautiful handles right here. And look, even this one here does give you a little rear wing on it. LED taillights, and this one's an ES300h. As mentioned, it's a 2.5 liter 4. Does give you some hybrid drive as well. Now, unfortunately, there have been a few issues. The older ES models from back in 07, 08 had issues with sudden acceleration. So in other words, the floor mats getting hung up by the gas pedal. Naturally, also there was an issue with the fuel pumps back in 2020 on the ES350s that meant the low pressure fuel pump was recalled. Certain generations and certain serial numbers as well. In this one, the 300h had issues with porous engines, and some of the engines had to be replaced free of charge by Lexus. Now, fortunately, a lot of customers got around that, and there was a very small production run of vehicles that had that problematic engine. Other than that, these are hugely reliable with a rating of 89 out of 100, 22 customer complaints, largely because of the floor mats, 1 recall, and 0 investigations. The average repair cost for these vehicles is only about $468, so it's even below the Lexus average. And as said already, for this model, 2017, I've seen as many miles as almost 180,000. These vehicles are meant to run a long time. The V6 is ultra reliable. The hybrid is also reliable. Just make sure that you check out the specific VINs and for that recall. Other than that, the ES is one of the most dependable models you'll ever find on the market anywhere, and definitely one of the most reliable Lexus models as well. And right there is one of the most reliable vehicles in Lexus arsenal. This rates a 90 out of 100. It also gets 0 complaints, 0 recalls, 0 investigations, $543 in terms of average ownership cost for repairs. 96,000 miles is where I've seen for vehicles of this year. It is clearly a vehicle that's meant to use for a lot of miles. It's versatile. There's lots of different options from this particular model, which I truly believe is one of the best, because this is the IS350. It does give you the ability to get the all-wheel drive system. You get this beautiful red paint. Get this nice wing on here, black alloys, gorgeous vehicle. Look at the interior on that white interior there. LC500 mirrors. This is the F Sport. You get that beautiful black detailing down there, and of course one of the most beautiful vehicles. Look at the checkmark headlights, as you can see, gorgeous, and this big bold grille. Now this is the IS350, carries 300 horsepower. You can get the all-wheel drive system, also get the IS300, and on top of it there's an IS500, which gives you that 472 horsepower V8 that you'll find in the LC500 models as well. It's a versatile model that has loads of reliability, durability beyond what most German manufacturers could only dream of, and this is absolutely good looking car too. You really can't go wrong. It's a vehicle with decent performance, relatively decent economy. It sounds great, and it's reliable beyond belief. The Lexus IS. And with all of that said, everybody, please do be sure to check right there the most reliable vehicles you could possibly ever find in the entire industry. It's my compilation of the best vehicles across the board. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.